We are back. Round 15. We're in the midst of the bye rounds. Round 14 was a tumultuous round. I'm going to say an average score was about 800 points, right? So if you cranked 800 points or more, you've had a great week. If you're like me, I got 770. I slid down the ranks a little bit. I'm about 250th now. Then you're feeling a bit of that pain. So look, some team lists here that are going to be, I reckon they're going to be pretty straightforward. I actually haven't looked at them at all. I've just come out of meetings and all that, but there's a lot of talk about Lockie Galvin, so Nathan's thrown that in. He's not come back if he wants out. He might be rested for just this week. We've got to figure out what that is. Tigers' bye schedule is so good, though, so it's almost worth holding on and figuring it out. Brayley getting 60 at best. What's going to happen there as well? We can talk about the Knights team list too. And yeah, there's a bunch of questions coming through right now. So let's jump right into it here and get into this first game. So we got the Sharkies and the Dolphins in this one. Big matchup here. Let's have a look. So for the Sharks, we got Will Kennedy, Sione Katoa, Jesse Ramian, Kale Iro, Ronaldo Mortalo, Braden Trindle, and Nico Hines coming in. And fire through your Sharks questions right now, guys, or your Dolphins questions as well. But for the Sharks, it's the same back line. We've got Trindle in there. We've got no Atkinson this week. That's big news. Nico Hines is back. He'll be out potentially round 16 with Origin as well. I think if you have Nico Hines at this point, ride the wave because he might be. I mean, he won't play 16 anyway. They have the bye, of course. But if he doesn't get picked for Origin game 2, that's really good news for you as a Nico owner because by round 19, theoretically, Nathan Cleary could be back by then too. So Hines is probably not going to be picked. So let's keep an eye on that. Question here, what's my rank? I'm ranked 258 right now. So I dropped back from 172 last week. Took a bit of a dip. I took some gambles last week and I got burnt by a few guys being late outs, Armstrong, Jaden Brayley, a few of these other guys. Unfortunately, I had space for a couple of players not to back up. Reece Robson as well. I just got hit by too many guys. So I played with 16, which was the problem. Otherwise, it was a pretty all right week for me. So Atco, is he a hold or a sell? I think he's a sell. I think he's done his job. He's priced really well right now. I think you got to make the move. So with Atkinson, I'm going to be selling Atco. Who would I buy for him? It depends on the cash you have in the bank. If you want to look at Jerome Hughes, not a bad shout. It's almost hard not to say, go look at Wishart with the score he got last week, but I think it's too late, really. So we'll talk about some good buy options as we go through. But for mine, Atkinson is probably a sell. That's the sad truth. He will play round 19 when Cronulla play. And if Trindle gets in trouble or something, he'd come back in, but there's no reason to believe that he will. So I'm giving Atco the flick. Is Talakai a buy? Let's talk about this. So for the forward pack, we got Toby Rudolph, Blake Brayley, Oregon Kafusi, Britton Nakora, Sifa Talakai, and Cam McInnes. What's the bench look like as well? Let's check that out. So Jack Williams, Tom Hazelton, Hamlin Uele, Royce Hunt, extended bench. No one who's going to steal any minutes. I think we're all clear there. Would I buy Talakai? I mean, what's the timeline looking like for Teague Wilton? So in the forwards, they're not mentioning it. What is Teague Wilton's out time? Because from my understanding, it was a pretty short period that he's out for. If Talakai comes in, right, and he has a long stint in that starting spot, he is absolutely a buy. But if it's a shorter time period, then I wouldn't be jumping on him. We'll give this a proper look when we go into the buy, hold, sell video. That'll be the big one. When we jump into that, we'll have a look at Talakai because his scoring in the back row is fantastic and he's at a really good price point. But if it's only a short period of time and he goes back to that bench role, he doesn't do much. Schwab's ranked 36, mate. That is awesome. Bravo. Absolutely love it. Killing it. Galvin, is he a hold? Yes. Right now he is. Absolutely. We'll talk about Armstrong later. Let's keep running through. Here we go. It's TBC for Wilton. That's a tricky one. We'll keep an eye on news, right? I'll find out something a bit more concrete by our buy, hold, sell video that goes up on Wednesdays. You guys all know about that. It goes up on Wednesdays. So I'll keep an eye on that. But if Wilton's out for at least until round 20, then I would buy Talakai. If it's less than that, I probably wouldn't make that purchase. All right, guys. A few of you guys are bickering in the comments. Just chill out. Like we're all here to play fantasy and talk. If you want to have a beef with someone, join a league together and put a little bet on this week's score and who scores better or something like that. Solve it like fantasy players, boys. All right. What do I think of Herbie? We'll talk about Herbie in a bit. Jahu said about Preston. Sorry, mate. That's tough. But yeah, for the rest of the Sharks team, I think Britton Nakora is at a pretty nice price point. You could look at him in round 17 as an option. He's about the 600K mark. I wouldn't touch the rest of the forward pack. McInnes, no. Bench, no. We'll go into the Dolphins here. So Hamiso, Tabuai-Fidow. We got Asako, Avarillo, Farmworth, and Bostock, and then Cody Nicarima and Isaiah Katoa. This is where that question comes in. What do I think about Herbie? So, Jack, I'm a big Herbie fan. I've had Herbie for about a month now. So I got him a couple of weeks before his big score. Look, he's a gun, right? So he's a guy who he pumps out 170 meters a game. He has big attacking play upside. This Cronulla team has leaked a few points as well, so he could potentially have a big game in this one. If you want Herbie, he plays the remaining two major bye rounds. He had the bye in round 14, so that's out of the way now. If you want a center, and just keep an eye on your numbers for round 16, but if you want a center, I think Herbie Farmworth is a great option. He's a guy you can hold for the rest of the year. Would I prefer him over Ewan Aitken is probably the follow-up question. I would rather Ewan Aitken over Herbie Farmworth if I had my time again. At the time, I didn't have the money to get Aitken, so I was forced into Herbie. But if I had cash for both, I'd prefer Ewan Aitken over Herbie Farmworth myself. So let's keep rolling through here. On Aitken, too late? I don't necessarily think so. So you're paying full price, right, for this guy. But at the same time, he's a locked-in keeper, center option. So is he a buy still? I think he absolutely is. Yeah, I'd be buying Ewan Aitken right now if I needed a center or a back rower. Personally, my team doesn't need those things, so I'm not going to make that move. But if you need those positions, then go and do it 100%. Talakai, just quickly, it's going to depend on how long Teague Wilton's out for. So I'll do some research on that. I'll have answers on buy, hold, sell. We'll talk about Talakai in those videos in more depth. But if he's going to keep the spot until round 20, I like him. If it's before that Wilton's back, I don't like it at all. That's my answer on that one. All right, would I go Plath or Tarpanay for a mid? I mean, let's jump into the forward pack here. So Kenny Bromwich, Marshall King, you got Felice Kafusi at the prop spot, Lemuelu, Aitken, Plath. We got Kerr, Nichols, Stone, and Donahue on the bench. It's not the friendliest bench for big middle forward minutes, but yeah, I don't mind this. I mean, look, Plath, he's sort of at a price where you're paying for what you get at this point. I like Plath because he's got the half and middle dual eligibility. He plays the remaining two bye rounds, so I like Plath a lot. Tarpanay's upside is higher, right? So for Tarpanay, if Tarpanay was to get 60 minutes a week every week, I would prefer Tarpanay over Plath. But he has those random 45-minute, 50-minute games. So for mine, I think Plath is a bit more reliable and has the better buy schedule as well. So I would be going Plath over Tarpanay, but you could go either way, and Tarpanay could easily come out on top. It's totally up to your preference there. Which one do you think is going to keep their minutes going through? Obviously, Flegler is out for a while. It's really bad news for him in terms of his shoulder not healing super well. But at the same time, for fantasy, that's obviously going to mean Plath gets more minutes. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at Plath as well. So I think Trey Fuller is worth holding. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Like, you could hold him. If you have a full 17 this week, hold him and you can play him next week. But if you don't have a full 17 this week, I wouldn't sacrifice by holding him. So, yeah, I would hold him if I had a full 17. That's my answer on that one. Is Lemuelu going to keep his spot? Yeah, I think so. So the fact that Flegler and who else? Who's the big lock? Tom Gilbert. Flegler and Tom Gilbert, they are both out for a while. So it means that they're having to play guys like Kenny Bromwich and Felice Kafusi at the prop spot, which means that there's more minutes for Lemuelu. So I think he'll hold that spot. I wouldn't necessarily buy him. I'm just worried a bit about the price. And also, I think, like, if you got the Storm back rowers, you got Katoa or Blore, or you got Fafita, you've already got enough edges for round 16. You can only play 2 of those edge guys in round 16. So keep that in mind. All right, let's keep rolling through here. Dolphins signing TPJ. I don't think it affects anything. He'll steal 8 minutes and then 5 minutes in 2 separate stints. And no, look, it's going to take some time, I think, for the conditioning to come back when he comes back into NRL. He's obviously a unit, but I think he'll play pretty low minutes. I don't think it's going to affect anyone too much. Probably it might even benefit Plath, actually, because they're going to be using like 4 subs a game, bringing TPJ on and off. So they're going to need other guys to play bigger minutes in more of a stint. All right, let's keep going through this team here. So Jeremy Marshall-King is a guy we could look at. I'll look into him for buy, hold, sell. He's got a really good buy schedule. And if you don't have Reed Marnie, then he's an option you could look at. The other option there is Damien Cook, who we'll talk about as well. Interchange card king. That's quality. Armstrong. What do you do with Armstrong? We'll go into the team list, but I think Armstrong is going to be a sell. So I sold him last week when I saw he was out. I still think he's a sell. I think he's maxed out on price. Give him the flick. Rest of the forward pack here. Kerr, Nichols. Yeah, I wouldn't touch the bench. I think we can skip on to the next game here. Extended bench. Nothing too interesting. Sean O'Sullivan, if he ever gets to run again, he's a pretty good fantasy scorer, but not anytime soon. All right, Raiders and the Cowboys next. And this is a big, probably going to be a high-scoring game, is what I mean. Not a big game, but a high-scoring game. So for the Raiders, we've got Rapana, Kotrick, Tomoko, Chris, Savage, Strange, and Weeks. Similar backline to what we've been seeing before. If you got these Raiders boys, hold on to them, basically, is my answer. Stick with them at this point. You'll have them for round 16. Super valuable. Check out your team for round 16. That's my big advice here. Forward pack, Papali, Levi, Tarpanay, Young, Whitehead, and Smithies. I think Young probably doesn't play Origin 2. I think the Blues play a utility on that bench spot. That's my guess. I reckon Latrell comes into the starting center spot, and I think Matt Burton comes onto the bench. And I think Young played all right. He's a really good football player, but I don't think he makes the Origin side for game 2. That's just my feel on that. I wouldn't go and buy him for that, but if you have him, you can hold on to him at this point. Tarpanay, I think Tarpanay, you got to look at the body of work across the whole year rather than just looking at that last game. There's nothing really changing about this Raiders team. In fact, no, still not there. Corey Horsburgh will come back at some point as well. He'll steal some minutes too. I'm not that hyped on Tarpanay right now, personally. I just think he's got a lot of potential to be a bit of a plotter for you. But if you like Tarpanay, he's sort of in that same league as like Max King for mine. They're the same kind of guy, right? Where they convert PPM quite well, but they just don't quite get the minutes that they need to be a top tier gun. So for the buy period, it's okay, but you're probably not going to have them at the back end of the season. That's kind of my answer there. Horsburgh, I think he's back next week is what I'm hearing, but we'll see what happens. All right, so rest of the team, if you got Smithies at this point, you hold on to him, but if you sold them already, so be it. Bench, I'm not super interested in. Yeah, Starling, Mariota, Mooney, Gula. They're playing well in real life, but not for fantasy. Rest of the backline for the Cowboys, we've got Scotty Drinkwater, Carl Felt, Val Holmes, Vilea, Talangi, Dearden, Townsend. Vilea's playing some good footy, not for fantasy, but good to see him nailing down a spot at the Cowboys. Rest of the team, I wouldn't go and buy anyone from the Cowboys, really, to be honest. So the Cowboys, they have buys in round 16 and 19, which means unless you're buying a top-tier gun, what are you doing? If you got Scott Drinkwater, hold on to him. He's playing really good footy, but I wouldn't go and buy Scott Drinkwater right now, even though he's scoring really well. Tom McKaylee, is he a sell? Good question. So McKaylee, yeah, I think he is, right? Like, when are you realistically going to play Thomas McKaylee is my question to you. Like, you're going to look like you got him there, jersey 15. He's on the bench with some other guys who can play some big minutes. He doesn't play the major buy rounds. Like, you're not going to play him in your year 17 or year 13. So I wouldn't jump onto that necessarily. All right. Good point there too, Jahu. So yeah, trade questions for those specific trades. I'll go into those at the end. So at the end of the video, we go through one by one different trades, and I'll talk through those options. Usually, my advice is going to be look at buy, hold, sell, buy some of the guys that we talk about there. And get out of here, Peter. Well. What are you doing? What are you doing, mate? You're a pest. All right, Drinky playing good footy, trying 42. Yeah, look, he had the 80 the week before, though, right? So if you look at the rolling average, it's actually quite good. Also, you got to remember Scott Drinkwater, he is 100% a guy who scores fantasy points through big attacking plays. So for him, he's never going to get a base stat 50. It's never going to happen. He always has to play really good footy and make big attacking plays to score fantasy points. That's his total MO. All right, let's jump into this team, though. So if you have guys like, I'm guessing Cotter, if you got guys like Reece Robson, all of that, hold on to them for this week, right? So my advice this week in general is don't be too trade happy. There's a few guys I'm going to tell you to trade, but in general, like Cotter, is he a hold? Yeah, he's a hold right now. Stick with him this week. You can look at selling him next week if you want to, but I don't think you need to trade too hard this week. So yeah, I'd be keeping him. For Reece Robson, I sold him last week just because the scoring has sort of been waning off. He tends to fall off at the back end of the season a bit as well, and he was getting rested with a neck issue after Origin. So there's a bit of risk that he gets rested again. If you have him, play him this week, but look at selling him next week is my answer. Cotter to Herbie is a good shout. Grant down to 681K is insane. We'll talk about Grant in a bit because he's getting to a really good price. Is Lukey a solid player on my team? This is really worrying right now, actually. So Nanai is typically an 80-minute player. For Lukey, you've got Finafuaki on the bench, and Finafuaki's been playing awesome footy recently. So I was a bit of a doubter at the start of the year, but I'll tell you what, I've been watching him, and he's playing really good footy. So for Finafuaki, he's going to steal some minutes off Lukey. I think it's probably going to be like a 50-30 split. Maybe Nanai gets a bit of a rest as well. But overall, I think Lukey's pretty dodgy. Unless he gets some attacking plays, he's not that interesting to me. Tungo we'll talk about as well. All right, let's go through the rest of this team here. So Tamalolo is starting at lock. I don't think that means anything. I'm not that interested in that. If the Cowboys were playing around 16 and 19, I would be pretty intrigued by this. But Tamalolo is never playing without Cotter there anyway. So I just reckon the minutes are going to stay about the same. I don't think it's worth the risk or the headache. Rest of the bench, not super interested. Extended benches. Yeah, Purdue played good. Chester could come in at some point. Burns is out, obviously. Nothing too crazy popping up here. If you're in a draft league, you keep an eye out for Hosking. So Hosking will be back relatively soon, like a month away sort of thing. So in a draft league, you could look at stashing Hosking if you wanted to. All right, so Bunnies and the Broncos. This is a big one. The Bunnies need to win this to keep their finals hopes alive, basically, right? And the Broncos missing quite a few players. No Adam Reynolds, no Reece Walsh, obviously, as well. They're in a tricky spot. So for the Bunnies, you got Latrell Johnston, Tane Milne, Richie Kenner, Jacob Gagai. Then we've got Jack White and Cody Walker. One guy to talk about here is Campbell Graham. He'll be back in about round 18. So you're getting very close to Campbell Graham time. Again, if you are in a draft league and you're top of the table or you're pretty high up and you're locked in for the finals, go and stash Campbell Graham because he'll be back soon and he's a weapon for fantasy. Now, Latrell Mitchell. Big question on Latrell. Is he a guy you should buy? Should he get from Origin? All that sort of stuff. So Fergus, mate, I reckon he is an automatic pick. Okay, I'm going to caveat this a bit. I would have picked Latrell in game 1 of Origin without thinking about it. I just think he's an awesome center. I think he's the best center in the comp. And I think we were crazy not to pick him for game 1. Now, the way he played last week, 3 try assists, he had the try, he had 4 offloads, he was sort of everywhere, right? He's one of those game-breaking players that you have to pick, and I think the Blues will definitely pick him. Madge will take the excuse of Suoli'i getting suspended and just pop Latrell right in. I think Matt Burton will be the 14 on the bench, but there is a chance that Burton is the starting center as well, and Latrell is not even in consideration. So we'll see what happens there. My view is Latrell has to be picked. It's enough of a risk that I wouldn't be buying him myself. I don't know. I took a gamble in Dream Team, classic Dream Team. I did take a gamble and bought and captain Latrell. But for fantasy, I just don't think we have the squad space. So, because we only have those 4 spare spots on our bench, we can't deal with too many outs. And Latrell will play this week and then miss next week for Origin and miss the week after with a bye as well. So, I'm skipping Latrell. But if you did get Latrell, bravo to you. You got a big score out of him. Kudos to you. It's actually worth it. If you got him last week, it's not worth it this week, is my view. Damien Cook, is he a shout? Will he make Origin? I got Reed last week instead. Just because Cook's role was a bit dodgy, right? So you got Mama Zealous, who comes on off the bench, plays hooker. Cook moves to lock or center or fullback or whatever, right? He's basically that backup for every position. And his scoring pretty much stops unless he scores a try in those positions. So I am not super hyped on Cook. For JMK versus Cook, I'm kind of leaning JMK. So Cook is the better fantasy scorer, but JMK, I just reckon he's got a more reliable role, but the injury is probably the risk for him. All right, so going into the Bunnies side here, Jack Whiten. So I got on Jack Whiten last week, last minute trade for David Armstrong, just to cover the back line. And he scored 57, but it was not a convincing 57, right? So he was on sort of 25 points or whatever it is with 15 minutes to go. Scored a try, had an offload try assist as well. It was unconvincing, right? But at the same time, he's got those big attacking plays in him. This Broncos side could theoretically leak some points as well. So for Jack White, and you got the awesome buy schedule for the Bunnies. You got the fact that he's half and center eligible, and the fact that he's a guy who's averaged 46 in the past when he's played at number 6. So that's Whiten's career average at 5'8", 46 points. In this Bunnies side, it's a bit dicey, right? So he takes on a bit of responsibility and he has some big plays in him, but sometimes it looks like he's just watching Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker run the show. So it's a hard one to read. I think you get some very big scores and some very low scores from Jack Whiten. But for me, at 400K, whatever he was last week, I reckon that's worth the dice roll with the buy schedule they have. Atco for Whiten is a good question. I think that's a rock solid trade. That's pretty perfect. I would make that move every day of the week. All right, I wouldn't so Koloamatangi, now that Murray is back. Is Murray on the extended bench, actually? Because that's probably what we're going to have a look at here. So Murray's not back. Oh, he's on the bench. Yeah, okay, cool. Number 16 jersey. Yeah, I tell you guys, I look at these for the first time with you. So I actually have no idea what I'm going to be looking at. But Davey Moale, you got Sean Kepi, Koloamatangi at lock. You got Cam Murray on the bench, Duncan Burgess as well. First things first, Davey Moale, not interested at all. He had a big score last week. He's a good football player. He's played quite well in international matchups in the past as well, in the sort of tier 2 matchups. So I like him as a player, but I think the fact that Cam Murray is going to come back in, eat a lot of those minutes, his minutes will drop right back down. So not super interesting. Caller for Whiten, I'm getting that question a bit. You can do it. I want to look at the team list for Manly first. So let's caveat that. We'll talk about whether to sell Kolar when we get to Manly, because by the sounds of things, he's probably named at center, if you're all asking that. So, yeah. Cody Walker, he's killing it, but he's getting a bit expensive right now, and it's probably too risky. But when I talked about him about 4 weeks ago, mate, he would have been a good buy then. So we all should have jumped on that. David Moale, when do you sell? Hold on to him. If you have him right now, hold on to him till round 16, play him in round 16, and then sell him for round 17. I think Cam Murray probably still makes Origin if he plays well this week. It depends how he comes back, but there's a chance that he does. All right, so the rest of the back row here, you got Cheekam, Jairo, Koloamatangi. I'm not making the move to go and buy Koloamatangi, but if you've got him, stick with him. Good buy schedule. He'll just play more edge, right? So he just becomes a bit more attacking stat reliant on the edge, which that's fine. He's done that for years. Michael Cheekam doesn't assert himself over many minutes, so he could drop back in minutes quite a bit to make space for Koloamatangi. Should be an 80-minute guy in this team. All right, for the Broncos, let's jump into them. So Tristan Saylor, Corey Oates, Tony Stagg, Selwyn Cobbo, Dean Mariner. We've got Ezra Mam and Jock Madden. Okay, I'm not really reacting to much in this backline. There's people talking about Tony Staggs as an option. I don't like the base that much. I just don't think, and the injury reliability, I'm not really into it. Ezra Mam, as a guy's been talked about a bit, not super keen on that. Forward pack, you got Jensen, Walters, Haas, Pierre Kura, Ricky Carrigan, Smoothie, Willison, Hetherington, Jezewski. There's not too much to talk about with this team, right? So yeah, Pierre Kura, your goat. Yeah, the Minecraft goat comes in with the real goat. Look, Pierre Kura, he's turning it around. If you got Pierre Kura, hold on to Pierre Kura at this point. He had a good score. Would I go and buy Pierre Kura? No, absolutely not. Would I buy Pierre Kura with my worst enemy's team? Still a no. He's just not a reliable fantasy scorer this year. He probably turned it around at some point. Almost certainly will, but I would steer clear, right? Jezewski, yeah, he's going to come on probably for Pierre Kura in this game, so that's worth looking at. Don't you dare say that Pierre Kura buy. How dare you? I just went on my rant about it. No way. Carrick Goat, yeah, scores a try. Got 70 points last week. What a legend backing up as well. What a legend. And yeah, we'll get into Tommy Talau soon too. 35-point average now, so he is pretty interesting. Shout out to Mr. 1-1, please. Yeah, Mr. 1-1. I hope you're doing well, man. What's your rank right now? Hopefully it's on the rise. All right, let's keep rolling through this team here. So for the rest of the team, if you have, there's not that much to talk about with the Broncos, right? Like I feel like everyone's hopping off that. I'm hopping off that too. Nothing too crazy to talk about here. If Karapani got a run at some point, I'd think about that, but because he looks pretty good. But other than that, I'm not super keen. For the Tigers and the Titans, this could be a cracker. So the Tigers have one of the worst second halves of footy I've ever seen in my life. Like that second half against the Dragons was downright disgraceful. So if they continue that form, the Titans should absolutely tear up here. which could land into our captaincy choice, which I'll go through in a second. So for the Tigers, Dream Buller, Alex Lobb, Brent Naden, Justin Olam, Charlie Staines, Aiden Caesar, Appy Coruscant. I thought I was just thinking this is pretty straightforward until we got to Appy Coruscant at 7. Okay, Appy Coruscant is a pretty good fantasy scorer at the 7 jersey. Not going to say he's better or worse than Hooker, but he goes well there. He's played 7 for Fiji quite a bit. Him and Kikau combine really well for Fiji, and it's one thing I love watching in the World Cups. We have those. So Coruscant at 7 isn't bad news if you have him already. If he gets that half eligibility at some point, that'll be pretty exciting, but I don't think he'll be there for long enough for that. Overall, I wouldn't let it sway your choice on Coruscant too much. For Caesar, I'm not super keen. Dream Buller, he's been getting cheaper, but the fantasy scores haven't been there to back it up. Tigers have a good buy schedule, so would I look at the back line? I mean, there's questions here. Buller, would I buy him? I was hoping he'd get a bit cheaper. He's just kind of, this Tigers team is not playing well, and he needs some big attacking plays to score, so he needs them to be good. Buller is fantastic, by the way. Like, my answer on Buller is yes, but my answer on the Tigers is no. So I'm going to say no, but he could do some individual stuff and get it going. Brent Naden, is he a buy? Nah, I'm not keen on that either. Why is Buller number 21? It's his 21st birthday. No, actually, I have no idea why he's number 21. It might be a typo. It's not a typo. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, they've got everyone 22, 23. Adam Dewey in jersey 23. The Dewey's coming back in New South Wales Cup, which is interesting. He's 636K from memory. So would you jump on that pod at 636K? Probably not. But he could come into the half spot pretty soon, actually, Adam Dewey. So worth keeping an eye on that. For the rest of the Tigers team, lots of questions coming through here. Fair Tape on the bench. Is he the new Talau? Fair Tape is the new Talau, mate. Talau is not Talau anymore. Talau is the GOAT, and Fair Tape is Talau. Talau's averaging 35. Fair Tape, I don't think he's averaging 15 even. Like, he's not doing great. Let's jump into it. Sammy Fainu is here by. Yeah, I love Samuel Fainu. I think he's a freak, man. Like, Samuel Fainu is such a good football player. Just a young guy, super explosive, good work rate. He's had a bit of bad luck with injuries so far, but Sammy Fainu is going to be locked in to that role. I just noticed too, in the forward pack, you've got Talon De Silva at hooker, which is one thing. Alex Seyfarth has been dropped back to the bench. What is going on? So last week, we talked about this. We talked about this with Seyfarth, right? This is how they reward Seyfarth. Exactly. We talked about Seyfarth, and I said to you guys, I love it for fantasy, but I don't think he's going to hold the spot. I thought he played well enough. I dead set thought he played well enough to hold the spot. I thought I was wrong about Seyfarth, but look at, here he is on the bench. That's crazy. I'm actually kind of in shock. Feeling a little bit validated because he scored so well last week. He scored that try. He was looking good in general, good fantasy score. Maybe I'm missing something. Like, anyone who was watching the game, did you think Seyfarth was really bad? Fanua Pole is a really good player, so maybe that's what it's about a bit more, but I didn't think they'd put Pole onto the bench, onto the starting edge back row spot. That's absolutely insane. So yeah, Seyfarth owners, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that you've had to cop that. But at the same time, sucked in, should have gone with Samuel Alfino. Haha. No. Has Talau made the biggest comeback of all time? Mate, he has gone from like meme for NRL fantasy to genuine 35-point-a-week scorer. Hat-trick. Top scorer for Manly multiple times this year. Scored a hat-trick in a loss. Like, he's unstoppable right now. Honestly, man, I'm so stoked for him as well. Like, he didn't look happy at the Tigers. He's gone to Manly. He's getting a lot of good ball. And he's showing what he can do. So good on Tommy Talau. That's what we're here for. And when we trash talk players for fantasy, we're just encouraging them to do better. Whoever we trash talk goes well, right? So Seyfarth last week as well. So Tommy Talau, you are welcome for the encouragement. For the rest of this, look, Talon De Silva, I wouldn't jump on that. The bench, Fair Tape on the bench is weird. I mean, look, the bench is not a. Seyfarth can play big minutes, but in general, it's not a massive minute bench, right? So if I'm looking at this and I have Tokomanu or Twal, I'm feeling quietly confident. Alex Twal, I'll try to stop Cooler. Yeah, Cooler can't do anything. Can't get the ball at center. 11 points with a try assist was embarrassing. So there's no way he'll score 100 this week. There's no way. Hopefully he does. I've got Kohler, mate. He's such a good player. But yeah, for this Tigers side, I think Atoko Manu is going to have a big week this week. If you were looking at Atoko Manu, I think now is the time. At the same time, the origin risk is obviously there, but Atoko Manu should get big minutes because Twile is in a bit of doubt for this game. You've got Fairtape on the bench, so there's not a lot of minutes on that bench as well. Yeah, Atoko Manu could have a big one. In fact, I think that's probably what's going to happen. There's a big chance in this configuration that Alex Seyfarth comes on to the edge back row spot about 20 minutes in as well. So if you have Seyfarth and he comes on in 20 minutes and Pole moves to lock and Matamua maybe goes off or something like that, that could be an option Tigers look at too. And I think that might be what they do. Take the sting out of the game a bit at the start and then go, all right, cool. We're going to bring the flair of Seyfarth on after that. And thank you, Mr. R. Appreciate it. I love it too. It's so good. It's just more people to talk about fantasy with. While we're here too, we do have the Discord as well. So Jahu, if you could drop the link for Discord into the chat. Discord is where we do all our fantasy chat. So we're talking nonstop. I think there was like 20,000 messages sent in the game day threads over the weekend. So there is just constant chat about fantasy. It's a great spot, the game day threads, right, to have live reactions and to rage about different players and that sort of stuff too. So I hang out in there a bunch, and we've got a bunch of people who do as well. Link is in the chat. I've just popped it up here too. Join the Discord. It's baller. I love it. I live for it. It's the place to be. It's free as well, so you can just jump in. All right, let's get into the Titans side of the ball. So a lot of Titans questions are coming through. People asking about Jaden Campbell, Counter Keeney, all these guys. So backline, Keeney, Cam Pereira, Kelly, Sami, Fafita. Not interested in any of that for fantasy at all. I'll just drop this in too. Gun 40. Love your work, mate. Definitely helped you make a few good decisions this year. I've seen you on TBC Live as well. So yeah, mate, you're a savant these days, a footy savant. What the Discord's actually mean? Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. It's pretty fun. Everyone jump on the Discord. It's a good place. But yeah, for the Titans, Jaden Campbell is an interest point here. So Jaden Campbell is, I actually don't know his price right now. He's at 494K coming into this week. He would be in the low 500s now. He was playing 6. He scored 57 points last week. It was mostly base stats and some big attacking plays, but no tries, more like line break assists and offloads and that kind of thing. He looked super dynamic in that game. Super dynamic in a big loss that they copped as well. So Jaden Campbell, if you want to go get Jaden Campbell, go and get Jaden Campbell because I think he's a stud. There is a bit of injury risk with him historically. Yeah, 519K. There we go. Bit of injury risk, but at the same time, the upside is massive. I think he's semi-close to probably not a keeper, but a guy that you could have on the edge of your roster, covering a couple of spots there. Peter, you're throwing it in. You think Jaden? No, Brimson and Boyd are the guys. Boyd was the 18th man last week, so I don't think they're choosing Boyd over Jaden Campbell anytime soon. Brimson might come in for Keeney, though. I think Campbell's above Keeney and above Boyd for my own. But yeah, for the rest of this team, so Jaden Campbell, yeah, I like that. Go get him if you want to get him. Fodawaker, Randall, Pahulu, Fafita, Fermor, Haas. I wouldn't be overreacting to Haas necessarily. I'm not super hyped on that. For the forward pack, Fodawaker, meh. Chris Randall you could look at, but he's a bit up and down and he covers a few positions, which worries me a little bit. Verrills is on the bench full-time as well, so meh. Pahulu scored 33 points in, I think, about 55 minutes last week, something like that. 33 and 45, 33 and 50. Whatever it is, 33 points is not that inspiring, so I'm not super keen on him. Fafita is a genuine captain option this week. And he's a bona fide captain option this week. So you saw how the Tigers played last week in the second half. Fafita will be fired up. He's got a chance to make the origin side. I reckon if you want to make that move and captain him again, I'll be with you on that one. I'll be captaining Fafita as well. So let's do it together. He's one option. The other option is the Roosters players, who we're going to talk about later in this video as well. But I think the Roosters on the right edge have a really good matchup this week too. So they're my two captaincy considerations. If you have Hines, obviously Hines is a captain option as well, but I don't have him. So what are we going to do? Did I say anything about Asako at the start? Very try reliant, very try dependent. I'm not super hyped on him. I don't think he's a full-time keeper. But if you want to get on and you want to pod, he could theoretically pop off 100%. So up to you. Fafita 100 and Fino minus 29. I'll be playing them both, so I hope they don't do that. Hopefully they score a hat trick each, and we just take it easy. Teddy captain could be an option. Power are usually pretty good at shutting down fullbacks, though. It's more the center and the winger that I don't know. We'll see if Dejan Arce gets named again, because that's going to make me captain Joey Manu, I think. We'll talk about Connor Watts when we get there too. Is Keeney a sell? No, definitely don't sell Keeney. Like he's doing fine. It's a good matchup. Stick with Keeney. Enjoy the cash. Play him this week. Okay, for the forward pack, not super keen. Verrills, Liu, Palacia, Aaron Clark. Nothing going on there. You could take a dice roll at one of these guys if you wanted to. So Chris Randall or Khalees Haas, because of the buys, you could do it. It kind of priced up mid ranges though, so I'm not super excited about that option. This is a good chance to shout out a sponsor. What shampoo do I use? I actually don't use much shampoo, but for the beard, we use a bit of care for that. I need a beard sponsor. That's what I need. And I need to start looking after it. Yeah, no shampoo, my friend. All right, for the rest of this Titans team, yeah, nothing too crazy on the extended bench for either side, so I'm going to skip ahead. Obviously, by the way, Lockie Galvin. Sorry, we didn't talk about Lockie Galvin. For Lockie Galvin, he is a hold right now. Stick with Galvin. But if he's out again next week, we can consider selling him. That's what I'd say, right? But for this week, stick with Lockie Galvin is my firm advice. All right, let's go into it. Next game here, we got the Warriors and the Storm. So for the Warriors and the Storm, usually a pretty good game. So for the Warriors, CNK, DWZ, we've got Berry, Pompey, Montoya, Tamari Martin next to Sean Johnson. Okay, so first thing I'm going to say is the Tamari Martin party is officially over. And am I using any trades? No trades this week. I don't think. Maybe Jaden Braley, depending on what the team list looks like. We'll have a look at that. Nichols used Head and Shoulders for his beard. I'll give that a try as well. More shoulders than head. But yeah, for this back line, yeah, Tamari Martin, party's over. Sean Johnson's back. Sean Johnson, give it a week. Let him come back. Let him be fit. See how he plays. Otherwise, don't make the move this week. If you have Sean Johnson already, then play. You're obviously going to play him this week, but otherwise, I wouldn't do anything too crazy with it. Where am I ranked right now? 258, I think is my rank. I haven't checked the last wave of updates because I've been at work all day, but about 258. So you can find me as well. You can, if you send me a league code, go to Instagram, just comment on the latest post, a league code, and I'll join whatever league you guys are in. I'm happy to join those as well, so you can see my team all the time and try to copy, but can't keep up. All right, so for the rest of the back line here, CNK is in good form. I wouldn't go and buy CNK necessarily, but if you have him, enjoy that as well. Forward pack, AFB, Wade Egan, Jackson Ford, Nakora, Barnett, and then Harris. Okay, so I was looking at Barnett here because he's sort of moving around a bit, so he's a bit hard to rely on. AFB is the first guy I'd talk about here. So for Fanua Blake, good option right now, right? So for Fanua Blake, I think he's a good target, right? If you have too much cash and you don't know what to use it on, Fanua Blake's an awesome option. Scored about 70 points last week, had a try, but he scores so many tries, right? And this Storm side is a little bit fragile through the middle. So Fanua Blake could show up again. He's the option I'd look at here. Mitch Barnett was a pod a few of you guys are talking about, and mad props to you if you got on Mitch Barnett. Good move. Really good move. For the rest of this team, I'm not super keen. Tohu Harris seems a bit older, seems a bit, I love Tohu Harris. He's an awesome player, but seems to be getting less minutes and getting a bit more rest. So you can't jump on Tohu at this stage. I'll throw in a quick up the waz. Mate, I can't claim to be an up the waz, though. I thought they were going to be so bad last year. Like I thought they were going to be right down the bottom of the table. So they surprised me last year, but I do love seeing them do well. For the rest of the bench here, CHT, Walker, Jazz Tavanga, Capewell. Jazz Tavanga is one of those guys where if he got the minutes at some point, he would be really good. Same as Aaron Clark, but just doesn't get the minutes. For the Storm here, let's jump in. So for the Storm, Suafei Longo, Grant Anderson, Dean Aramea, Nick Meaney, Xavier Coates, Tyron Wishart, Jerome Hughes. Sorry, I'm just going to put this guy in timeout. There's a random guy leaving a lot of comments. And you're silenced. Sorry, mate. Okay, so for this backline, I saw a few of you guys commented as well. You saw my team with Jerome Hughes. Super stoked with Hughes. So yeah, got on Jerome Hughes last week. I didn't get on Wishart, which I'm feeling a lot of regret about. So for Wishart, I liked the look of it, but I had too many of those guys because I had Atkinson already. I had KO Weeks already, Dave Armstrong as well. All these guys in that position, I just couldn't go and get another one. So I missed out on Wishart. But if you got on Wishart, man, you got a great score out of him last week. Huge W. For Jerome Hughes, I think it's more sustainable. So Jerome Hughes had a pretty regular game with a try added on. Scored in that mid-70s number. Look, great numbers. It's not too late to get on Jerome Hughes. I think the Warriors are a team that could, they're solid in defense, but they could leak a few points to a guy like Jerome Hughes as well. He's got that round 16 coverage as well. He won't play round 19. But yeah, for Jerome Hughes, roll with it. He's a good option, 100%. For the forward, would I get Wishart is probably another question. I think Cam Munster is back a bit too soon. It's a bit too expensive at this point. I probably wouldn't be getting Wishart right now myself. I think it's a bit too much risk. For the forward pack, Kamika, Grant, King, Blore, Katoa, and Loyero. So Harry Grant started off the bench last week, played less minutes. He's getting cheaper right now. If you have Harry Grant, you hold him. That's my advice. So I think he's about 680K. Hold on to Harry Grant if you have him. If you don't have him, enjoy watching these prices drop, and we'll all go buy him around 20. That's basically what I'm going to say to you. We'll go get Harry Grant around 20. He'll probably get another rest or two through this origin period. You can't pick when it's going to happen. I don't have any secret source on that, but he'll get a few more rests and he'll get a bit cheaper. Hopefully mid 600s, but probably closer to 700 is where he's going to land. For the rest of the forward pack here, look, Sean Blore's a guy we were talking about holding or selling. I'm holding on to Sean Blore just because the buy schedule is really favorable. I view him as a 45 average. That's kind of where I've got him earmarked in my head. So for Blore, 45 points is fine. He's not, kicking the door down. He's not absolutely killing it, but at the same time, he's doing enough, right? And he'll have some big games here and there with his offloads, and he's a pretty good player as well. Eli Katoa is another one. Bit of a quieter game last week, but scores plenty of tries. So again, I'm not super worried about this. Eli Katoa, I'm sticking with him as well. I wouldn't go and buy these guys necessarily. I think that you probably have enough edge back rowers already for round 16. Just keep an eye on that because you can only play 2 of these guys in round 16. I right now have Blore, Katoa, and Fafita. So at this stage, unless Fafita makes origin, I'm going to be wasting a spot, which is a tough one. All right. Loyero, Garlic, Welch, Sofa Solomona, and Chan. Sofa Solomona's been getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but it just doesn't seem to be panning out for him. So I'm going to take him off my watch list right now. And the rest of this team, any questions here? Would you be getting Katoa at some point as a keeper if you have enough money? Yeah, I have him from round 1. So I was backing Katoa. He was priced at about a 45 average. I have him earmarked as a 55 guy, and he's been doing that job for me. So yeah, I'm sticking with him as a keeper. Would I go buy him? I don't mind him as a pod. He's still a pod, actually, at this stage. You go do it, but see if you need the edge back row. That's a big question. I want to bring Jerome Hughes. The only way I can do it is selling Galvin. It's a risk. I don't want to sell Galvin. I'd try and find another trade if I could. Can I give a shout out? Yes. So Griff Dobble, great bloke. Griff Dobble. That sounds like a fake name. Griffin. Anyway, Dobbsy. Good to see you, mate. Garrick still on the bench. Not good for Grant. Yeah, Garlic. Yeah, he's up there. That's pretty dodgy. You sold Wishart. Ryder, what's going on, man? Are you okay? Are you okay? That would have been a tough watch. That would have been a really tough watch. Would you sell? No, don't sell Katoa. Don't sell, guys. Don't sell Katoa. I'm just saying I wouldn't beat the door down to buy him, but don't be selling him. He's a hold for sure. All right, let's keep going through because the Storm team, I'm not super captivated. I think Jerome Hughes is the buy here. And no, I wouldn't be selling Katoa. We'll talk about Watson when we get to the Roosters here, which is right now, actually. So Parramatta, I want to talk about the Eels here because it's Eels and the Roosters. And as a Parramatta fan, I have a special perspective on Parramatta, and you guys are captive audience now. You have to listen to my Parramatta rants. So Para picked a crazy left edge last week. So they went out and they picked Kelma Tuolangi, Sean Russell, and Dejan Arce on the same edge. They had Dylan Brown there, who's a rock solid defender, but the other three are a bit more inclined to the attacking side of the footy. So they're not super locked down defenders. And they got totally annihilated by Stephen Crichton and Connor Tracy. So I don't know if Parramatta can run that again. They definitely haven't run it because Sivo's back. I'm just looking at it now, actually. Kelmer's still in there. I still think it could be a tough day out for Parramatta. So you look at that roster configuration, it's probably going to be Kelmer, Dylan Brown, Sean Russell, Micah Sivo. That's probably what it's going to be. RC's off that edge, which he's at the 14 jersey. Look, RC's a good backup half. He's a solid player, but he just at center, it was a really tough assignment. He just got absolutely destroyed in that game. So my first thought coming into this was, well, who's on the right edge for the Roosters? It's Joey Manu and Dom Young. It's kind of scary, right? You even look at the fact that Dom Young, one of the fastest guys in the league, is up against Sivo. I think they'll both score a couple of tries. But Dom Young and Joey Manu could be pod captain options that I would look at, right? So I reckon in Supercoach, I might, I want a draft league for Supercoach. I might captain Dom Young there. I might captain Dom Young in Dream Team, but I don't have him in fantasy. So he could be an option you look at. It would be a massive pod. It would be a dangerous pod, but you could go and do it. Blaze on the wing. Yeah, he was playing wing last week as well. He'll be staying on the wing there too. So that's good for him. We'll see how he goes. Under the high ball, he has some challenges, but he's been super dynamic for Parramatta, and he's a young guy, so I love that he's back in there. Jahu's favorite, Sivo. Yeah, Jahu, you can't stop him from chanting Sivo, Sivo, Sivo in the Discord. He's just such a big fan of Big Micah. Got scarred from captaining Manu last time. I reckon he comes out and has a big game here. One thing I'm thinking about here is that I think James Tedesco might get shut down a bit more, though. So Parramatta are usually pretty good at shutting down the fullback, but get exposed on the edges and just sort of squeeze right in as a defensive unit. So I don't think Teddy will have a big game in this one. Let's go into the Parramatta side here now. So Clint Gutherson, Micah Sivo, Will Penasini, Sean Russell, Blaze Talangi, Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses have both had really quiet games last week as well. Overall, if you have those guys, I would stick with them, but I wouldn't go and buy either of those players. They got the buy next week anyway, so there's nothing really to talk about there. Will Penasini's coming better. He's getting good with Cartwright and Moses back. Forward pack, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Brendan Hands, Junior Polo, Kelma Tuolangi, Bryce Cartwright, Jermaine Hopgood. Hopgood has a bit of a nerve issue right now, I've heard. In fact, he's named to play is good news, but overall, I would be concerned about his minutes if I had Hopgood, so keep an eye on that. Let's see the bench. So RC is the utility on the bench, which means we've got Lussick in jersey 20, Madison in 21. Okay. So probably we're going to see a situation where Hands plays 80 minutes, would be my guess. But Lussick could come in at the last minute like he did last time. So just keep an eye on that. I think overall, though, as Jacob's saying, no more Lussick. Good news for Brandon Hands' minutes. He should be rock solid, right? The price you paid for Hands, you can cop the risk, is sort of what I'm saying. So, yeah, stick with it. Hopgood, round 21, going to hit so good. Exactly. So Hopgood, Harry Grant, there's going to be a bunch of guys that'll be nice and cheap at that point that we can get, and we'll have cheapy keepers into our team at that point. So, super stoked. Reed Marnie or Harry Grant. If I had neither, I'd go by Reed. If I had either, I wouldn't trade either for the other one, right? That's sort of my answer there. All right, so for Parramatta, Bryce Cartwright had a pretty quiet game other than a big attacking play. We've got, Kelma Tuolangi. His day was saved by the try. 47 points for the try, which is not great for a back rower, but look, he's doing the job. He's sticking in there. Sean Lane is playing a lot of middle forward in this Parramatta side, so I don't know. We'll see what happens there. If he gets the middle eligibility, could be interesting at some point. Offengower, nothing too crazy to talk about. I wouldn't be buying too many of these Parramatta players anyway because they got the bye next week. The Roosters, on the other hand, are playing next week. So Chookies are playing round 16. They're obviously playing this game as well. Teddy, Tupou, Palgar, Manu, Young, Kiri, and Walker. We're going to buy any of these guys. I think Manu and Young should have a big game. Just based on last week, could be a tough one. How did I get into your NRL fantasy? Well, you specifically, I went and hacked your. No, I'm kidding. So what happens is because I've won fantasy in the past, when leagues have an odd number of players, then the NRL fantasy team, they autofill those leagues with coaches like myself. So if your league was incomplete, they might have chucked my team into your league. Hopefully I'm doing well, but not super well, so that one of you guys wins your league. That's the goal there. But yeah, for the Chookies, let's go into this. So backline is the backline. They're the same players that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. I wouldn't be making too many moves right now. But for the forward pack, okay, Nafu White comes in at 13. Connor Watson is on the 9 jersey. Brandon Smith, I heard something about some sort of disciplinary thing. They might mention it down here. So Roosters, Origin, blah, blah, blah. Change to Roosters. Jennings drops back to Benor, Wong, Connor Watson. They haven't mentioned. Okay. Brandon Smith has something. I think it was an off-field thing. I got to look into it. But if Watson is the starting hooker long-term, and Brandon Smith's out for a bit, I don't think it's going to be. But if Brandon Smith's out for a bit and Watson's that starting hooker long-term, then he's a stud. I would wait 1 week on Watson, though. So here we go. Okay. Didn't show up to a team meeting. Yeah, this is it. I do remember reading this, actually. So Brandon Smith, he missed the meeting. He was somewhere without his phone or something like that. It's going to be a 1 week thing. It's like Adam Fanua Blake, so I wouldn't worry too much. And yeah, can we get more likes on the video? Yeah, guys, drop a like. Let me know you like these videos. I'll keep making them for you. Nah, you can't keep me away. I'll keep making them anyway. Nafu White, is he a buy? I don't think so. So Connor Watson will go to lock at some point, and Nafu White will go to his old role off the bench, which isn't that attractive. But next week, Lindsay Collins is out. So theoretically, you got 2 more weeks of big scores from Nafu White, which if you have heaps of trades, you can go make this move. But most of us don't have heaps of trades. So if you got like 12 plus trades, you could get on White. It's rock solid. But otherwise, I wouldn't go and do it. I wouldn't do it if I had lower trades, which I don't. So I'm skipping out on that one. Sam Walker, is he a trade? Probably, guess you're thinking a buy. He's all right. He was better when he was cheaper. He's sort of priced close to where he's worth now, so I wouldn't be doing it personally. Let's keep going through this Roosters team. So Hargraves, Collins, Crichton, Radley. Yeah. If you got Crichton, then you stick with him this week, but you could look at selling him soon, but I'll probably hold on to him at this point. Then rest of the team here, Sandon Smith, Spencer Lenu, Nat Butcher, Terrell May, extended bench. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, I think we're pretty solid on the Roosters. So let's keep rolling through. Watson, I need to look. I would wait a week on Watson is my advice. You can go get him this week if you want to. If you need to make the trade this week, I would wait 1 week. That's my advice on Connor Watson. But we will talk about Connor Watson by hold sell, by the way. So we'll go in more depth on that. That goes up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. All right, Seagulls and the Dragons. So 2 teams here that had sort of mixed bags last week. For the Seagulls, I'm disappointed to see that Tolu Kola is sitting in that center spot again where he doesn't do anything, but he's so good at fullback. Oh. All right, Leo Hapawadi, Saab, Kola, Garrick, Talau, Brooks, Trey Evans up against the Dragons here. And then we've got Paseka, Lawton, Nathan Brown, Olakawatu, Ben Trebojevic, Jake Trebojevic. I was kind of thinking that Jake Simpkin might steal that starting 9 role. Looks like he hasn't, so nothing to do there. But yeah, for the back line, I wouldn't make a move on Lehigh Hapawadi. Kohler and Garrick are good centers, so it means that Turbo is going to come back at fullback. Hapawadi will slide right out of the team. Tommy Talau. Would you go and get Tommy Talau is the big question. Would you put the captaincy on Tommy Talau? My heart says yes. My heart says yes, go and do it. But my mind says that is a terrible decision. So if you want to listen to the heart, go and captain Tommy Talau. Send me a screenshot if you do it. I know a few of you guys, if you follow the Instagram, I was posting stories about someone who had Tommy Talau as captain. He was on 2 points about 25 minutes into that game, 20 minutes in, and then he scored 3 tries. So, yeah, rock solid. This is interesting. DeBellin instead of someone like Watson, I would get Watson over DeBellin, 100%. Just so much more upside in terms of his scoring. DeBellin was really dodgy last week in terms of his minutes. So, yeah, skip. Talau, 540K. Yeah, he's pretty expensive. 514. Very pricey. Call it Talau as a joke, yes, but I'll talk to you later on Discord, Gun. I know you're over there, so maybe we won't do that. Oh, is this Jack Wallace or Jock Wallace? Because there's a few of you guys around. Tommy destroyed you in Supercoach. Mate, don't you talk to me about our Supercoach matchup, Jock, all right? So for everyone who's not in our league, which is 308 people, Jock is in my Supercoach draft league, and he had Tommy Talau and Tyron Wishart come out and steal the win from nowhere. And I had Josh Curran as captain because Hines is out. Just disastrous. But hey, look, I respect the faith. You had faith in Tommy Talau. You made your moves. Respect to you, Jockey. Appreciate your work. Let's keep rolling through rest of this team. So yeah, for the Manly side, look, Ben Trebojevic is a guy we're going to talk about at some point. He's had back-to-back 50+ scores, which I don't know. Do you like that? Do you want to go and get Ben Trebojevic? I probably couldn't bring myself to do it just out of pride. But if he keeps that scoring run up, then hey, he could be absolutely dominant through this period, especially Senate eligible as well. Probably not on my radar, but could be an option for you. Ola Kawatu will get nice and cheap, so he'll be cheap for the post-Origin period. But right now, you wouldn't do it with the Origin stuff going on. For the Dragons, you got Sloan, Lomax, Sully, Feeney, Flanagan, and Hunt. I'm not going to overreact. So Zach Lomax scored 103 points last week. That's great. That's awesome. It's not going to happen every week. Tigers played some terrible footy last week. I wouldn't be getting on. He's got Origin coming up as well. Not super fast. Rest of the team, I'm not super interested here. They're playing a bit of musical chairs in the back line for the Dragons. For the forward pack, we got Molo, Little, DeBellin, Leilua, Suwa, Eisenhuth, then Laurie, Fatal Mariner, Merk Masilla, Couchman. What are we going to do, right? So Jack DeBellin, I'm holding Jack DeBellin for my team because he's got good coverage to this period. Doesn't play round 16, but he plays round 19. And then I'll probably sell him in round 20 when he has that buy. So, yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Luciano was kind of getting to a good price, but too expensive now. Little is up and down, but I wouldn't take the risk on it. Talau versus Lomax this week. Battle for Surges. Hasn't Talau already bathed Lomax twice this year? Yeah, Talau is obviously a superior talent compared to any other backline player. But Lomax will have his work cut out for him. Lomax, though, future Parramatta star. Obviously, I'm going to back my boy there. So hopefully he kills it. All right, rest of the team, Eisenhuth. I wouldn't be buying any of these players, but if you have them, most of them are kind of holds that I would hold this week. All right, going through to the Knights and the Panthers. So Sunday game, 4 p.m. Dylan Edwards is back. Okay, cool. Fletcher Sharp keeps his spot. If you want a cash out wing fullback option who might get changed in 3 weeks' time, Fletcher Sharp is the player for you. If you don't want that, then don't do it. For Fletcher Sharp, I'm just going to let this one go. I think they've got the bye coming up as well. I'm going to let it slide through. If he has another massive game and he looks really good again, maybe we do it. But, you know, it's a hard one to justify. Tuala, Gagai, Best is back. Marzu. Does Best make Origin? Is Best a buy? He's a bit expensive right now. I was talking about Best earlier in the year when he was really cheap, but right now it's a bit too expensive, so I'm not going to jump on that. For Greg Marzu, really shocking game from him. You could maybe, I'd probably hold him if I had him, but you could look at selling him as well. It's sort of up to you and your team. Marzu to Fletcher Sharp isn't the worst, actually, if you had that double there. Armstrong is a sell. Get rid of him. It's done. He's already priced up anyway, so yeah, Armstrong he's just an easy sell. Tungo versus Best. Good shout. So the way Tungo's been playing lately, Best is going to destroy him. But we'll see what happens here. I just think Tungo is very reliant on Cleary being there. He's been pretty quiet without Cleary. For the forward pack, Saifidi, Brayley, Thompson, Frizzell, Kai Pierce, Paul, Elliott, Crossland on the bench with Saifidi, Lucas, and Brady Jones. So some big news here. Obviously, Lucas is on the bench there. He's being rotated out, I guess. They seem to be rotating guys the Knights quite a bit. It makes me think that because they did that with Kai Pierce Paul as well recently, where they benched him. He didn't play big minutes. I'm guessing they're just giving these guys a bit of a rest here and there, right? So a bit of maintenance. For Jaden Brayley, that could mean that maybe he gets back to big minutes again, potentially, right? So Jaden Brayley could jump right back to big minutes. He might actually be worth holding this week. It's a tough one because it could just be a maintenance thing like they did with KPP. Jaden Brayley's had some injuries in the past. It could also be Phoenix Crossland coming on for big minutes. So it's hard for me to say, but I think the way this bench lines up, if Lucas gets small minutes in this game, then theoretically Crossland might play lock. And and we might see Safidi and Jones play prop, and Lucas come on for Frizzell for a bit as well. So I reckon there's actually a good chance that Jaden Brayley plays big, gets a big score, pumps it out. I'm probably going to hold Jaden Brayley, actually, looking at this now. He's a hold for me. I'll relook at it when we do buy, hold, sell, but for right now, Jaden Brayley's a hold. If you want to cash him out, I don't mind that as well, by the way. So a few of you guys are talking about that. If you want to cash out Brayley, you want to make that move, that's fine too. He doesn't play around 16 anyway, but I'm pretty intrigued by this. This is the tough part, right? Does Crossland start on game day? Do they make that swap? That's where it gets really dicey. Probably won't have a backup plan at that point. The problem is you don't want to buy players from either of these teams, really. So what do you do in that scenario? You're kind of stuffed. That makes it tricky, actually. I'll have a look at it anyway during the week, so we'll see what happens. And he did sell so hard for me, 100%. He did sell, but I had 16 players, so he wasn't the biggest problem I had last week. All right, loop, KPP, and you can't loop him. He's the last game of the round, so you're just going to have to stick with it at this stage. But yeah, for the Knights, it's going to be tough. It's tough to read their minutes. It's been tough all year. For the Panthers, we've got Edwards, Taruva, Tungo, Alamoti, To'o, Cole, Luai. Tungo is really cheap, man. Tungo is really cheap. It's hard for me not to, because I look at it every week and I think, all right, I'm going to check his price right now, actually. Every week I look at Tungo and just think, that's a guy who is frequently 700K or more. And I reckon he'll be 700K again this year. So yeah, 469K is his price. A break even of 46 points. 469K. He's going to get down to about 450K, right? He is so primed for when Cleary comes back. I might go get Tungo in round 17, potentially. Because, yeah, he's fallen off a cliff, but he needs Cleary, right? So when Cleary comes back, when Edwards is playing and all that sort of stuff, he'll get back to his good scores. But right now, he doesn't play round 16. I wouldn't go and buy him right now. But for next week, keep an eye on that. So the week after. So after Origin, he's a decent option, and he could be a potential keeper. But if you have Ewan Aitken, you have Herbie, you have these other guys, you might not want to do it. Just keep an eye on, look at your buy schedule, but I reckon Tungo is a pretty decent shout. Rest of the team here, Brian To'o scored 100 points. He plays Origin though, so you can't get on To'o right now. Jerome Luai playing Origin probably too, so can't get on him. Forward pack, Leota has been really quiet this year. He's very cheap, but he probably won't bounce back too much. Kenny had a better game, not that interested. Fisher Harris, that run is coming to a close. Sorensen, Garner, Yo. So obviously Liam Martin has a bit of an injury. How long will that be? Not too long, I'm hearing. But yeah, I wouldn't get Garner. But if you have a draft league, you can go get Garner in that. For Isaiah Yo, if you got him, enjoy that ride. I wouldn't go and buy Isaiah Yo. Him playing big minutes last week means he'll probably get a rest at some point in the future. For the rest of the bench here, Laurie, Smith, Henry, Eisenhuth, they're all guys where if you have them already, hold. If you don't have them, don't go and buy them. That's kind of my answer on most of these Penrith players. And yeah, Liam Martin on the extended bench. He could come into this game at the last minute as well. He might come off the bench. He's got Origin commitments, that sort of thing. Penrith are going well anyway. So I think they'll be pretty conservative. Liam Martin, he could be very cheap actually as well at some point. So we can keep an eye on him too. For Dylan Edwards, if you have Dylan Edwards, play him this week. Don't sell him right now. Look at selling him next week potentially. But for this week, stick with him. He's going to show out in this game, I reckon. He'll come and play good. That is all the games there. So do you guys have any questions, any trades that you're looking at? I'll fire through some answers on some of those trade questions. So get some of those in, or any specific players you're looking at as well. And I'll take a look at those right now. All right, so questions coming through. Let's go. Garner or KPP in draft? I would go KPP by a landslide. Martin, probably just rested for Origin in reserves. Yeah, 100%. They're just resting him through this period. They know they're going to be in the finals, so they don't have to blast him right now. Sell next. KPP loses minutes. I don't think so, but if he does, it's worth the risk anyway, so keep him starting. Would Little be a good fantasy cover for Marnie? He's pretty dicey. Like he's good. I like him as a player, but he picks up a lot of little injuries, and I think this year is not the year to play with him. So I wouldn't do it. Cola to Campbell, I don't mind it. Cola is a bit of a dud at center. I would look at other options because Kohler does play around 16. So if you can hold Kohler, try and do it. But this is an okay trade. Do you reckon Dylan Brown sell him this week? Yeah, you could sell him or you could hold him. It's up to you. I think he's got a bit of fantasy pedigree. I think he'll average 50 over the remainder of the season, but he doesn't play around 16. He does play around 19 though. So yeah, it's up to your team. If your team's perfect, you can go sell him. Atco, is he sell? Yes. Yes, I would sell Atkinson. Blow for 12. Nope, don't do it. Caller, sell. I try to hold him, but if you want to sell, go and do it. Is Galvin a sell? No, I'm holding Galvin this week. Look at it next week. If next week he's out again, we'll sell him then. Do Edwards and Nico play Origin? I think Edwards does. I think Nico doesn't. That's my read on it. I think Moses will come in next to Luai. If I was picking the team, I would pick Edwards, and then I would pick Moses and Hines as the halves pairing. I think Hines is more of a 6. That's my read on it. Max King, trade out. No, stick with Max King. He's fine. Current a sell. We'll have to wait and see on that injury news, but I think you could look at selling him 100%. Yeah. But if he's back for round 16, then you want him for that anyway. So keep an eye on that injury news. If he's back next week, keep him. Kohler, Tatungo, or wait. I'd wait. Kohler plays round 16, so stick with him. Plug Discord. Yep, 100%. So pop that in. That's the Discord, guys. There's a link in the description of the video as well. So if you go to the video description, there's a link there too for the Discord. So jump on there. It's a really good spot. I'm there all the time. Cotter to Herbie. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not desperate to sell Cotter this week, but I like him as a sell to Herbie. Replacement for Armstrong. Watch, buy, hold, sell. That comes out at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We go through all the buy options. If I don't need to trade, should I save trades? Yeah, save them 100%. So I'm looking at not trading at all this week. Jaden Brayley is one that I'm actually kind of hoping I can just hold on to, but we'll see what happens. Galvin for Herbie. I don't love it. I think Galvin's a guy you're going to want to have if he plays next week. So stick with Galvin. Give him a chance. Kohler to Aitken. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. My answer on all these Kohler ones, guys, is going to be I reckon you should hold him. But if you need to sell him, go and do it. Would I back Brayley for Appy? Ooh, I don't love it. I don't mind it. If you don't have a hooker for round 16 already, this is a good move. But if you have a hooker for round 16, then don't do this. That's my answer. Would Brandon Smith be playing next round? I imagine he will be. That I don't know for certain, but I think he will. Who is a mid for 16? Tokomanu is an option. There's heaps of options. We'll have a look through those teams. We can go through it later. I'll look at. It'll be in the buy hold sell video as well. Like Tarpanay is there. There's a few options. Armstrong to Campbell or Armstrong to Garrick. I kind of like Campbell more. Garrick has a really nice dual position thing going on with center and wing fullback, but I like Campbell right now. I think there's more upside in him. I think the price he's at is better. Garrick is a stud though. So it's up to your risk profile. If you want to take a risk and go for upside, go for Campbell. If you want a safer option, go for Garrick, but Garrick's more expensive. Seyfarth, I wouldn't buy Seyfarth, but if you have him, I would hold him, and I would probably start him this week. I think he'll play big minutes. Val Holmes to Hughes. Val is useless for the buy rounds. Yeah. This is a good trade. Hughes is a good buy. What's it with Nakora? Stick with him. He scored 55 points. He's fine. Just roll with it. Cole Patungo. Answer that one. Replacement for Vinny Brody. Vinny is irreplaceable. That's the thing about Vinny Brody, right? So he's one of those legends where you just can't replace him. So go Vinny, go. News that Armstrong requested immediate release. I've heard a little bit of whispers. I don't have anything confirmed. Armstrong is a sell, regardless. Whether that happens or not, he's a sell. I'd sell him. What middle should I get for round 16 and 19? We'll go through that and buy, hold, sell. Sell Hughes, Kohler, or Galvin. Hughes, probably. Depends on the current injury, I guess, but probably Hughes. I think of that 3. He's got the lowest upside. Scott Sorensen, a buy. Nah, I wouldn't go and buy him necessarily. Dillbags to Hughes sideways a little bit, if I'm being honest, but it's an okay trade. I would look for something else to do instead. Buller, a sell. Nah, stick with Buller. If you got Buller now, stick with him. Kohler, Galvin, Nakora, a sell. No, Nakora's fine, guys. Stick with Nakora. Someone asked, I skipped past it, but someone asked, should be Captain Watson. Risky, but has upside. Up to you. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Will Campbell get dual position? Yeah, if he's playing there, 100%. Dom Young overfeeder is scary. It is terrifying, but sometimes we've got to do scary things if we want to clutch up and move up the table, right? Kohler to bench and start Blaze. Yeah, I'd start Blaze over Kohler 100%. Max King a sell. No, do not sell him. He plays round 16 and he's rock solid. He's fine. Johnson or Hughes? I would go Hughes over Johnson. Just the injury risk and all that sort of stuff. We don't want to deal with that with Sean Johnson. So I go Jerome Hughes. Armstrong to Jaden Campbell with 5 trades left. Yeah, I like that trade a lot. 5 is not a lot of trades, I'll admit, but it's a good trade. Vinny the GOAT, 100%. Talakai is weird, maybe a buy. I need to find out what Teague Wilton's injury is. So if Wilton is back before round 20, I wouldn't buy Talakai. If he's back after round 20, absolutely. When do we think to sell Iro? Probably around 20 is around the time I think about doing that. But to be honest, for me, I reckon Iro is a guy where he's staying pretty injury free. He's very solid in terms of his base. He's a guy who I'm happy to have on my team for the remainder of the year. He'll probably move into the bench spot, so he might be that 18th man, that cover option. But yeah, he's pretty good. How do I get on Pimp My Team? So you have to go to Discord. Discord link is in the description. So go to Discord, jump in there, and if you upgrade to the higher tiers, so cheapy, mid-ranger, or cash cow, so cheap mid-ranger or gun, then you will get into my team. So just jump on Discord, ask the question. I'll tell you how to do it over there. Is Strangers sell? Nah, stick with Strange right now. Love you too, Geography Greg. Love this comment every week. Always bringing the hype. I love the love. Hughes, Preston, or Kotrick sell this week. I mean, Preston's a hard sell, so he's number 1 of that list. Manu captain, I like the matchup against that Parramatta edge. I think this is a good option, but it has risk, obviously. If captaining a center, there's a lot of risk to that, but there's big upside. Who to sell, Hughes or Fuller? We'll sell 1 this week and 1 after round 16. I would sell Hughes, and I would keep Fuller. Sorensen, I regret getting him. Nah, stick with him. He's fine. He averaged 52 last year in the back row. He's had a few quieter games this year. Don't worry about it, though. It was a 40-point game from last week. That's fine. We can live with it. Need a hooker this week. Little or Hands? That's a tough one. I'd probably get Hands over Little. They're both a bit risky, but Hands is just way cheaper. Matt Feeney, worth a look. I'm not that keen on this Dragons musical chair situation, so I'm not going to do it. Campbell playing 5/8 on the weekend. Yes, he was, and he played awesome footy. You can go get him for sure. I have Cookie. Would it be all right early? Sorry, would it be all right to go early on Brayley out? Yeah, if you're going to move to Damien Cook, then you could sell Brayley. That's fine. I'm going to answer 3 more questions here. So, Dom Young captain is a good one. Yeah, I think that's a good edge. So, Sivo is awesome. I actually love Micah Sivo, by the way. I know he's getting a lot of crap right now, but I think he's awesome. But he's not super quick. So, Dom Young is pure speed. Dom Young's probably going to be getting outside him a lot in that game. And yeah, I reckon probably pretty safe. The Young scores a try or 2 in that game. 2 more questions. Let's have a look. Where are some good ones? Ask me some better questions, guys. Would it be worth using it? Yeah, we could do that. Any more fantasy ring giveaways? Yeah, we can do that. I'll do on buy, hold, sell. We'll do a guess the score. So I'll just show you guys, by the way, these. So we'll do a guess the score. I don't know if we're going to do Tommy Talau again, but these are championship rings. So if you're going to win your league, go and get one of these, by the way. They're fucking baller. But championship rings, I've made these custom. We'll do a guess the score giveaway at some point. Probably on the buy, hold, sell video, where it'll be maybe Talau, or maybe we look at another player instead, maybe Nico Hines even. And whoever guesses the score gets a championship ring hitting their inbox. Right, 1 more question. What do we got? Yeah, Preston's a sell, but I won't count that as a question. Thoughts on Tedesco? He's good. He won't play Origin, but I won't count that. Fair top, I guess the score. Everyone's just going to guess 0. Best buy is under 500k. We'll go through that and buy, hold, sell. Celtics win the comp on maps to come back. I can't bet against Luka Doncic, even though it's looking tough. Would I consider Papa next week? That's a good question, actually. So, yeah, Pappenhausen coming back next week. What's he looking like? What's he looking like? Let me give you a proper answer to this question. This is the last one. So Pappenhausen, 573k. Okay, he's already gone up in price a little bit. You got to break even. It's 445. That's fine. Do I like the fixtures? Dolphins, Raiders, Tigers got the bye in round 19. Not a bad run of fixtures. I'm probably not looking at Ryan Papenhuyzen myself, personally. It's getting a bit late in the season. I'd rather a pure keeper option. I've got Tedesco and Manu already as well. So I've got a bit of cash there and KO Weeks too. So they're kind of 3 keepers at wing fullback that I already have. So I'm probably not going to get on Papenhuyzen. But if you like him, he's a stud. He could easily tear it up. And I'm hoping as a footy fan that he plays really well and kills it for fantasy. But he's not on my plans. Anyway, guys, that is our Teamless Tuesday reaction. Hopefully it was enjoyable for you as it was for me. I'll make a couple of videos. So we'll make buy, hold, sell tonight as well. That goes live at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We'll also do a video for Pimp My Team. So we'll take a few of the teams from Discord. If you want to be on Pimp My Team, go to Discord now. Link in the description of this video. Go to Discord, ask how to be on Pimp My Team. I'll give you some guidance over there. But we take some of those teams, we give them one-to-one advice, sort of talk to them about how they can improve their team. Key thing is I love looking at the trades they have left. And if they've got a bunch of trades, we can do heaps. If they don't have many, they're doing what I'm doing this week and not making too many trades. So appreciate it. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Fader. Thank you, Cliff, again. Thank you, Tavita. Whenever I see that, I think I'm going to be talking to Tavita Totola as well. So I love when you comment, mate. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Hopefully it was enjoyable. I'll see you guys on the next one. See you, Ollie. Peace out, guys.